Hello there, this is the Aptitude guy. Welcome to another video from the lesson series of this channel. This is the part 2 of percentages. If you haven't watched part 1, then I'll put the link in the I button over here. Make sure you definitely watch it and only then watch part 2. A lot of basic stuff is in that video. Alright, so let's carry on with percentages. Question number 1. As usual, pause the video, try to solve it, and then come back. Alright, let's solve it. If the price of petrol increases by 25%, by how much must Batman cut down his consumption so that his expenditure on petrol remains constant? First of all, DC and Batman fans would know that this question makes absolutely no sense because Bruce Wayne would just end up buying the entire petrol bunk. But let's see, for the sake of the question, let us solve it. If the price of petrol increases by 25%, alright. Now this is how we solve this question. First of all, we need to know this very simple thing. That is, price into consumption is equal to what? Is equal to the expenditure. Alright, so using this simple mathematics, let us solve this question. First of all, we assume that the price of petrol is 100 rupees per liter. Alright, and suppose the consumption by Batman is 100 liters as well. So what is the expenditure of Batman? Expenditure is of course 100 rupees into 100 liters. That is equal to 10,000 rupees. This is case 1. Now in case 2 what happens? In case 2 what happens is the price of petrol increases by 25%. So how much is the new price of petrol? The new price of petrol is 125. What is the new consumption? That is exactly what we need to find. And what is the new expenditure? They have mentioned in the question that the expenditure remains constant. Alright, so the expenditure remains 10,000. Now, the most commonly marked wrong answer for this question is 25% because people think that if it increases by 25%, then something has to decrease by 25% so that there is a balance. That is absolutely wrong. Always remember, in such questions, this number will always be there in the options and it will always, every single time, be the wrong answer. So, even if you want to do inky pinky ponky with the options, make sure you remove this option and then do inky pinky ponky with the other 3 options because this is 100% wrong. Alright, so now let's solve the question. We have the data right here. Now, how much should the consumption decrease? Let's see. All we have to do is find the consumption here, right? Now, price into consumption equals expenditure. So consumption is equal to how much? Consumption will be equal to expenditure divided by price. So consumption is expenditure divided by price. That is equal to 10,000 divided by the new price is 125. When you calculate it, you will get 80 liters as the answer. Now, is this the final answer? No. The old consumption was 100 liters. The new consumption is 80 liters. How much was the reduction in consumption? 100 minus 80, that is equal to 20%. The answer is option C, which is 20%. That's it. It's very simple. Now, if you think that you have to write so much during an examination, absolutely not. I am writing so much for explanation purposes. In reality, this entire thing will happen in your mind. Only this thing you may have to write it down. Or if you're really good with calculation, you may not have to write this down as well. That's it. If you have any doubts in this method, definitely drop them in the comments. I will try to answer it. Now, if at all you understood this method, then you will definitely be able to solve the next question. As usual, pause the video, try to solve it, and then come back. Alright, let's solve it now. We started the same way as the previous question. We have price of petrol, that is 100 rupees, then consumption, that is 100 liters, and then the expenditure, that is 100 into 100. Now what happens? The price of petrol increases by 50%. So the new price of petrol now becomes 150. The new consumption, again, as usual, we have to find that. And what happens to the expenditure? Does it stay the same this time? No. That is what changes in this question. Stark intends to spend only an additional 25% on petrol. Now, Marvel fans and Iron Man fans again know that this question makes no sense because Mr. Stark uses an arc reactor for everything, not petrol. But for the sake of the question, let us solve it. An additional 25% on petrol. So initial expenditure was 100 into 100, and then this increases by 25%. When something increases by 25%, it becomes 125%. So now what happens? 100 and 100 gets cancelled. We have 12500. That is the new expenditure, 12,500. Now we do the same thing that we did in the previous question. Consumption is equal to expenditure divided by price. So we have 12500 divided by 150. When you solve it, you will get 83.33. So what is the final answer? Initial consumption was 100 liters. The new consumption is 83.33. So the answer, of course, is 100 minus 83.33, which is equal to 16.66%. The answer is option B. Done. That's all. There is no difference between question 1 and question number 2. The only slight bit of difference is that in question number 1, the expenditure remained the same. Here, the expenditure also changed. But the method is absolutely ditto, identical. Any doubts over here? Definitely drop them in the comments. Let's move on to the next question. Pause the video, try to solve it. Alright, let's do it. X and Y are 20% and 25% greater than Z respectively. By how much percentage is X smaller than Y? I absolutely love this question because of the options. No matter what kind of mistake you made, your wrong answer will be there in the options over here. Okay, let's begin. So the reference over here is Z, right? Greater than Z. So let's assume that Z is 100. So X will be how much? X will be 20% greater than Z. 20% greater than 100 is 120. Y will be how much? Y is 25% greater than Z. 25% greater than 100 is 125. Till here, I'm sure everybody got. After that, by how much percentage is X smaller than Y? Now, whenever you're talking about smaller than or greater than percentage, always remember the numerator is the difference between the two. Basically, how much smaller than or how much greater than. So let's write down the numerator first. We have 125 minus 120 divided by something into 100. Now, what should it be divided by? If at all you divide it by X, you will get option D as the answer. If you divide it by Y, then you get option B as the answer. Like I said, any mistake you make, your wrong answer is there in the options. Let's see which is the correct one. Let's read the question first. They have asked by how much percentage is X smaller than Y? Than Y. That means with respect to Y. And when we were learning change percentage, remember change percentage was there in the first video. Definitely go and watch that. In change percentage, we learned that whatever the percentage is with respect to, that should be in the denominator. In this case, it is with respect to Y. So, Y will be in the denominator. That is 125. Now, if you solve this, what do you get? Oh, this is 125 minus 120. I'm so sorry. Yes. So, divided by 125 into 100. So, we have 5 divided by 125 into 100. So 5 into 25 is 125. 100 by 25 is of course 4. So the answer is 4%. Answer is option B. Now let's take a hypothetical situation. If the answer is supposed to be option D, then what would be the change in the question? Y would be divided by X. What should the question say? Then the question should say, by how much percentage is Y greater than X? Greater than X. So smaller than and greater than, the numerator stays the same because the difference between them is the same, that is 5. But greater than X, that means with respect to X. So X will be in the denominator that time, that is 120, and 5 by 120 into 100 is equal to 4.16%. Alright, so be very mindful about what it is with respect to. Than what? With respect to what? That thing should come in the denominator. Alright, any doubts over here? Definitely drop them in the comments. Let's move on to the next question. Pause the video, try to solve it, and then come back. Alright, let's do it. In XYZ College, 65% of the students are less than 20 years of age. Let's write that data down. Number of students less than 20 years of age is equal to 65% of the total. Alright. So what can we assume from this? What can we infer from this? That means that the rest of the students make up how much percent of the total? Obviously 35%. Now what are the rest of the people? We have less than 20 years. So we will obviously have greater than 20 years, but we will also have equal to 20 years as well. That means the number of students of 20 years of age plus the number of students more than 20 years of age make up 35% of the total. Alright, let's try to solve it now. This is something we got only from the first line. See, always remember one thing I tell it to all my students. Do not try to solve the entire question in one shot. Don't. Always use divide and conquer. You read the first line, you write down the data. Then you read the second line, you write down the data. And then you merge everything and solve the question. Don't try to solve the entire thing in one shot. It will not happen. A question is a collection of smaller questions. Deal with the smaller questions. The bigger question will take care of itself. Don't worry. The number of students more than 20 years of age is 2/3 of the number of students of 20 years of age, which is 42. Now the question arises over here. What does this which refer to? Does this which refer to more than 20 years or does it refer to of 20 years? What does it refer to? Now let me give you a small English grammar lesson over here. For words like which or who, always remember whatever data is mentioned just before it, it refers to that. Alright. For example, I am speaking to the students who belong to XYZ College. Who is the who in that case? The students who belong to XYZ College. Similarly over here, which. What comes just before which? The number of students of 20 years of age, which is 42. That means the number of students of 20 years of age is 42. Done. So the number of students more than 20 years of age is 2/3 of that number. Alright. Number of students more than 20 years of age is 2/3 of that number, which is 42. This is equal to 28. Now it becomes very simple. Of course, substitute this over here and substitute this over here. And now let's try to solve it. So what happens to this equation now? Number of students of 20 years of age is 42. So we have 42 over here. Plus greater than 20 years of age is 28. So we have 28. This is equal to 35% of total. That is 35 by 100 into total. That's it. Now solve it like a 6th standard kid. 42 plus 28 is 70 into 100 comes this side. 100 by 35 equals T. 35 2s are 70. So the total is 200. Answer is option D. Now a lot of people end up getting answer as option C, which is 130. They are simply doing the double of 65% for some reason. But like I said, do it step by step. In the end, everything comes along. Any doubt in this particular question? Definitely ask me. And before asking in the comment section, rewind the video and watch the solution again. If you still have some doubt, then definitely drop them in the comments. Let's move on to the next question. All right, the grapes question. Pause the video and try to solve it. All right, let's do it. Fresh grapes contain 90% water by weight, while dried grapes contain 20% water by weight. All right, let's try to visualize this question. We have fresh grapes. This is fresh. Fresh grapes are 90% water. Water is 90%. So how much is the grape pulp, the actual essence of the grape? The pulp is the remaining 10%, obviously. Similarly, when it comes to dry grapes, these are the dry grapes, we have 20% water by weight. So water over here is 20%. So the main pulp is 80%. Now let me ask you a very simple question. In fresh grapes, pulp is 10% and in the dry grape, pulp is 80%. Does this mean that in dry grapes, there is more pulp? Absolutely not. The pulp stays constant. The only thing that changes is the water content. Over here, water is 90%. Over here, water is only 20%. The water became less. That's it. The pulp stayed constant. So that means whatever pulp we extract from both these grapes is the same. That is the basis of our equation. So let's see what we have here. What is the weight of dry grapes available from 20 kg of fresh grapes? So when it comes to fresh grapes, we have 20 kg of it. And when it comes to dry grapes, let us have x kg of it. And we know that the pulp stays constant. So let's do it. So we have the pulp from fresh grapes equals the pulp from dry grapes. What is the pulp from fresh grapes? Pulp is 10%. 10% of 20 kg equals the pulp from dry grapes. Pulp is 80% of how many kgs? X kgs. That's it. 10% of 20 is how much? 10% of 20 is 2. This is equal to 80%. That is 80 by 100 into x. So what do we have here? X is equal to 2 into 100 divided by 80. And that is equal to 2.5 kgs. This means 20 kg of fresh grapes give us the same amount of pulp as 2.5 kg of dry grapes. Okay, the water content is obviously different, but the pulp is 2 kg in both of them. So from 20 kg of fresh grapes, we can extract 2.5 kg of dry grapes. All right. Now, some of you might have made a little bit of a mistake over here, and you might have gotten 2.4 kg as the answer. Now, why would you get 2.4 kg? Because what you did was you found out that the pulp is 2 kg, of course, that is 10% of 20 kg. And then you know that in dry grapes, there is 20% water by weight. So pulp is 2 kg. So you thought that water will be 20% of 2 kg, that is 0.4 kg. So you ended up doing 2 plus 0.4, that is 2.4 kg, right? So why is this wrong? It feels that it makes sense, right? But why is this wrong? This is wrong because the water is not 20% of the pulp. The water is 20% of the entire grape. Okay, the water is 20% of the whole grape. The whole grape has water as well as pulp. The whole thing, 20% of the whole thing is water, not 20% of the pulp. Pulp alone is 80%. This 2 kg itself is not 100% of the grape. This 2 kg is 80% of the grape. Okay, and 20% of the grape is water. That is why 0.4 is not the amount of water, so 2.4 is the wrong answer. Alright, I hope this solves your doubt. If at all you got 2.4 as the answer and you understood what is the mistake, then definitely tell that in the comments. It'll be nice. And if at all you still have some doubts, definitely drop them also in the comments. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. Do not get scared because of the size of the question. The solution is much smaller than it. Pause the video, try to solve it. Alright, let's do it. In a certain city, 60% of the registered voters are Party A supporters. Let's assume that the total number of registered voters is 100. Now what happens to this 100? There are two types of voters over here. We have A supporters and we have B supporters. How many A supporters do we have? We have 60% and the remaining 40% are B supporters. Now what happens is, in an assembly election, 75% of party A supporters, alright, from party A supporters, 75%, that is 75% of 60 is 45, are expected to vote for candidate A. These are A voters. Now, from party B supporters also there are some A voters. But how many? Not as much. They have only 20% because they are of course party A supporters, but still some people, that is 20% of 40, will vote for A. 20% of 40 is 8. Now what percentage of the registered voters are expected to vote for candidate A? All we have to do is 45 plus 8. The answer is 53. Done. That's it. So don't get scared because of long questions. There is a good chance that the longer the question is, the more data is given, so you have to find less things. Alright? But any doubts in this question, definitely drop them in the comments. Let's quickly move on to the next question. Error percentage. Very nice question. Pause the video and try to solve it. Alright, let's do this. Now in this question, we have to find the percentage of error. Now in order to find error percentage, let us go back to an old percentage formula that we learned all the way back in the first video of percentages. So the formula that we learned was change percentage. I called it the big daddy formula of percentages. Change percentage is equal to change divided by the old value into 100. So how do we find the error percentage with this? Now, when we were finding change percentage, the numerator was change. So when we are finding error percentage, numerator will be error. Simple as that. Whatever percentage we are finding, that should be in the numerator. And what did I tell you about the denominator? Whatever it is with respect to, that should be in the denominator. Change percentage is with respect to old value. Now for error, there is no new value or old value. There is correct value and then there is the wrong value. Now, error percentage, is it with respect to the correct value or the wrong value? Sometimes our common sense says that error percentage will be with respect to the wrong value because error is happening because of the wrong value, because of the mistake, right? But yes, error is happening because of the wrong value, but error is not with respect to the correct value. Sorry, it's not with respect to the wrong value. How do you know that you have made a mistake? How do you know that error has happened? When you compare your answer to the wrong answer or to the correct answer? Obviously to the correct answer, right? If you compare your answer to the wrong answer, then you're just wasting your time. It makes no sense. Whenever, even in school time, 8th, 9th and 10th standard, whenever we used to solve a math problem, after that we used to go to the last page of the textbook and check for what? The correct answers or the wrong answers? Obviously the correct answers. So let me visualize it for you. Suppose this is the correct answer. Okay. Error percentage is basically how far away are you from the correct answer. If the error is 10%, then it means that you are either 10% on this side or 10% of this side of the correct value. If the error percentage is 0%, that means you are not at all farther from the correct value. You are exactly on the correct answer. That is what error percentage means. So, error percentage is always with respect to the correct value. Because how do you know you have made a mistake? When you compare your answer to the correct answer. And of course, into 100. This is how you need to think about denominators. What am I comparing it with? That's all. Now let's solve it. Let the number be 100. Now, what is the wrong value? Hulk mistakenly divided a number by 2 instead of multiplying it by 2. So dividing it by 2 is the wrong value. So 100 by 2, that is 50. By the way, this Hulk is the Infinity War Hulk, not the Endgame Hulk. Endgame Hulk is Professor Hulk and he would not make such mistakes. Now the correct value is what? Correct value is multiplying it by 2. So we have 100 into 2, that is 200. So what is the error percentage now? First of all, the numerator is the error. What is the error? The difference between the two, of course. 200 minus 50. Divided by what? Divided by the correct value. Correct value is 200 into 100. So 0 and 0 gone. We have 150 divided by 2. The answer is 75%. Answer is option D. That's it. So if at all you ever have a doubt about the denominator, think about it that way. That what am I comparing it with? That's it. Any doubts in this solution? Definitely drop them in the comments. And if at all this video helped you rectify a lot of silly mistakes that you have been making till now, definitely drop your stories also in the comments. And with that, we are done with the lesson part of this video. Here, of course, as Ritual says, there are some extra questions. Pause the video or screenshot these questions and try to solve them and drop the answers in the comments. I'll let you know if you're right or wrong. All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. And of course, subscribe to the channel. If at all you like this video and it solved some doubts of yours, definitely like this video so that the video stays in the library section of your YouTube app. So that the next time you want to revise the topic, you can just go to the liked video section of your YouTube app and you don't have to search the video again and again. If you want to watch the previous video, that is percentage 1, definitely go there. And if you want to watch the next video, definitely go there. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.